I told you I was coming. Commentators and Bible scholars often talk about the relationship that Jesus had with Lazarus and his sisters. Lazarus has been noted as one of Jesus' best friends. And so what happens in this story is Jesus gets word that his friend is sick. Jesus gets word that his friend is sick. When Jesus finally arrives, Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days already. Understand what I'm saying. They send word to Jesus when Lazarus is sick. When Jesus shows up, Lazarus has been dead and in his tomb 4 days already. I'm sure this was impossible to even consider that anything could happen, because there's no Bible, there's no historical biblical precedent that says that somebody can come back to life after being dead and in the grave for 4 days. We've never seen this before. We had no previous examples, but I want to give you something. Catch my first point right quick. I got to move quick, y'all, but catch my first point. Stop holding Jesus to your timeline and trust that he will move according to his power. Oh, these sisters are mad at Jesus. You see throughout the course of the text that they say, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. They sent word when he was sick. In other words, saying, hurry up and do something because our brother is sick. But catch this next point, because I need to make the first one make sense. They'll connect together. Many of us have negated the power of God in our lives because when he didn't move in our time frame, we started moving on our own. Y'all got to help me preach. I'm going to go for it right quick today. Let's just shoot our shot with God right quick. But I need you to know many of us have negated the power of God in our lives because we said, God moved by Tuesday. And if God didn't move by Tuesday, we took off moving instead. And then God says, oh, if you're going to move, let me fall back. But if you're going to let me move, then you get out the way and let me do what I do. Jesus says to his disciples after he hears word that Lazarus is sick, he said, I need you to understand that Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. But what they didn't know is at the time Jesus says it won't end in death, Lazarus is already dead. Lazarus is already dead. Jesus says his sickness will not end in death. He tells the disciples, Lazarus is just asleep. It's confusing. I gotta believe it's confusing. Please catch this. Write this in your notes. It's not on the screen, but write it in your notes if you're a note taker. It's confusing because Lazarus is dead according to our ability, but he's asleep according to Jesus' power. Oh, I need you to catch me. Catch that. So Jesus says to the disciples, he says, Lazarus is asleep. In their understanding, Lazarus is dead. Is he asleep or is he dead? And Jesus says, it's according to whose power you're looking at it from. It's according to whose perspective you're viewing it from. It's according to whose eyes you want to see it through. Before I go on to my next piece, I need you to really understand that it's important in this season of your life for the rest of 2019. If this is really going to be the year that you set out for it to be in the spirit, in God's eyes, and this is your year you're going to see your word come to pass, and this is the year you're going to see God move, and this is the year you're going to feel God, and you're going to elevate and increase and spread out and stretch out. If all of that stuff is going to happen, I submit to you that it only happens if you start to see things through God's eyes. Oh, I need somebody to hear me. It don't work unless you see it from God's perspective. Catch this point. It's in your app. It's in your notes, but write it down if you ain't got it. We got to stop calling stuff dead that Jesus said is only asleep. You got to stop calling stuff dead when Jesus says, oh no, it's just asleep. Jesus, y'all, hear me. He was never planning to not show up. He was never planning to not show up. He just moved on his time instead of theirs. Oh, I'm going to preach. Mary and Martha did not ask Jesus to come initially. If you understand scripture, you see the context. What happens at the beginning of this chapter is that the Bible says they sent word to Jesus that his friend who he loved was sick. They didn't say, Jesus, Lazarus is sick, come see. They said, Jesus, Lazarus is sick. So they had an expectation in their mind that he would do something. But all they really did was just say, Lazarus is sick. There's an expectation that Jesus will do whatever is necessary to fix this situation. But watch me, because when you say that, God, I'm going to put it in your hands, which is what these sisters did, they said Lazarus is sick. And so they put it in Jesus' hands. Then you got to say, okay, I'm giving you, God, watch this, I'm giving God freedom to handle this however you see fit. That's what happened to us. We stopped giving God freedom to move. And we started saying, God, move my way. Okay. Catch this point. If we're going to call Jesus to our problems, we have to accept his power, we have to accept his methods, and we have to accept his timing. Can y'all help me preach, please? Help me, Holy Ghost. If we're going to call Jesus to our problems, we have to accept his power, not my own power. We have to accept his methods, not the way I think it ought to be done, and his timing, when he's going to move, not when I think he ought to move. There is controversy surrounding Jesus going back to Judea because that's where Lazarus lives, that's where Bethany was, but religious leaders wanted to kill Jesus. So you see in the text what's happening is that when Jesus says to the disciples, let's go to Bethany, they say, but Savior, but Lord, the people were trying to kill you. They wanted you dead. Caiaphas wanted to kill you. The Jewish leaders didn't like you because they heard you were the Messiah, and they didn't want anybody to be in power above them. And so there's all this drama and controversy because he knows that if he shows up over there, then there's a fight waiting on him. There's people waiting to kill him. But I need you to understand something, that he said, I could have just spoken the word from where I was and healed Lazarus, but because I loved him, because I have relationship with him, because he matters to me, because he's important, I risked my life to go get down to where he was. And I'm trying to help you understand something. That's what God says he'll do in your life. Somebody in the room that's ever felt God get up and move off of his throne and step down into your situation, into whatever you were going through. He got up off of his throne. He stepped down out of eternity and stepped down into modernity and said, I'm going to come see about you. I'm going to get into your life. I'm going to get into your issue. I'm going to get into your situation. I'm grateful, church. I'm grateful, church, that there is no boundary that God won't go through to get to me. Somebody. I'm grateful that even when I put up walls around me, God said, I'll kick down every wall in your life to come get to where you are. Somebody jumped in. I need like 4 people who really have experienced God in a moment where you said, I'm going through all hell. I'm going through all kinds of stuff in my life. I'm going through all kinds of issues and drama. But even when I felt like I was going to close myself off from church, close myself off from God, close myself off from people, God still said, forget that wall. Forget that mountain. I'll climb it. Forget that wall. I'll go through it. Forget your boundaries. I'll go around them. Forget the people around you. I'll move through them. All to get to you, because nothing's going to stop me from getting to the ones I love. Somebody who has seen it and felt it, I dare you for like 10 seconds to just throw your hands up and worship God. That no matter what he had to go through to get to you, he came anyway. He came through your broken heart. He came through your headaches. He came through your sickness. He came through your disease. He came through your bad relationships. He came through your failures. He came through your shortcomings. He came through your sin. And he came to get you. He deserves your worship. And the word that he has me to give to you today is, I told you I was coming. Oh, Jesus shows up to Bethany and meets with Martha. And she begins to blame Jesus and scold him for not showing up. She says, Jesus, if you had been here, if you had been here, if you had been here, if you had been here. We are never told why Jesus didn't move immediately. But I'd offer to you that it's time to put the narrative to rest. I know I'm finna make all your church and your tradition and stuff mad, but I think it's time for us to put the narrative to bed, put it to rest and kill it, that Jesus is always on time. Oh, because y'all know how we've been saying for years, he may not come when you want him, finish it. No, he ain't. Look. You looking in the Bible, he was late. The Bible says that when they told him, he waited 2 days before he even left. He's not always on time. Sometimes he just says, nah, not yet. I ain't ready yet. So Martha rushes out to go meet Jesus. She says, you were late. Why didn't you come earlier? When we called you, he was sick, not dead. Not only did you show up after he died, you was 4 days late. What? Okay, let me move. I don't have time to play with that. The problem is you live in time, what the Greek calls chronos. God lives in what the Greek calls kairos. And the difference between chronos and kairos is time in order. It is where we get the word chronological time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 time in order. The kairos says, no, this is God ordained moments. Oh, somebody. That's why in moments where it felt like everything was just about dead, there was no hope, there was no chance for a turnaround. When you had finally given up, you had finally just said, oh well, I'm ready to resolve that whatever happens just happens. And that's the moment where God stepped in, because he said, see, now all of eternity, now all of time, now all of the factors, now all of the prophetic truth, everything has lined up for this specific, direct, exact moment for me to move. Martha rushes out to meet Jesus, and Mary stays in the house. Martha rushes to see Jesus, and it's an incredible display of faith, and I want us to learn from it, because even in the midst of tragedy and mourning and frustration, she says to Jesus, whatever you ask God for, I know he will do. Catch this point. Maturity in our faith is shown when maturity in our relationship is shown when our faith can outweigh our frustration. Okay, I know you're frustrated, but do you still have faith? I know you're mad that Jesus didn't come on time, but are you still don't believe? Can you still believe that he can move? I know you're mad that he didn't come when you called him, but he still can't. Okay. Now Mary comes to meet with Jesus. And Jewish tradition says that after faith, the family stayed in the house to mourn for a full 7 days. So that's why everybody's in this house. He knew where to find them, because everybody in the Jewish tradition, it said that when somebody dies, the family just stays in the house and mourns for 7 days. So there's this juxtaposition, y'all, between Mary and Martha. Martha still has faith when she gets to Jesus. She says, whatever you ask God for, I know he will do. But Mary shows up to Jesus, and she just starts mourning. She falls before him, the Bible says, and both of them said the same thing. Lord, if you had been here. She says, I need you to catch something. Lord, if you had been here. Can I help you understand something? I want you to catch this point right quick, and this is a big one. This is my major one I need you to have right quick. Shift your focus from what didn't happen to what is now happening. Because what God can do is greater than what God didn't do. Make that make sense for me, PC? I will. I need you to catch this, because when Jesus showed up, all they did was complain about the fact that Jesus was late. Jesus came, he's there face to face with them, and all they keep saying is, if you were here, my brother wouldn't have died. Okay, let me say it again. I'm waiting on it to make sense and register in your head. Because what God can do is greater than what he didn't do. Stop focusing on what didn't happen and focus on what is now happening. He shows up, and Martha says, if you were here, my brother wouldn't have died. He gets to Mary. She comes out the house and finds Jesus, and she says, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. And I know Jesus is standing before them saying, I know what you're saying would have happened if I had been here, but now I am here. What are we going to do? Oh, we didn't get it, y'all. We're so focused on what we think God failed to do in our lives that when he showed up and said, I didn't move on your time frame because I had something else that I was planning to do. We got so focused on the back there that we couldn't see what he was getting ready to do up there. So stop focusing on what didn't happen and shift your focus to what is, so what he didn't heal you the first time it hit your life. Just know that he's still in your midst. And if he's still in your midst, if he showed up late, early, on time, whatever else, just know that when he came, power came with him. They take Jesus to the grave of Lazarus, and people all around are there to mourn his death, and people begin to doubt Jesus and say, I don't understand how he gave blind people sight, but he couldn't have kept Lazarus from dying? You know how people do. I thought he was saved. I thought he had all power. I thought he was the Messiah with the fingers. I thought he was all that. And so Jesus no longer responds to the people. Because up to this point, y'all, everything we've seen is that every time somebody had a conversation, a complaint, or whatever, Jesus responded. He interacted. But we get to this point, G-Mama, and Jesus says, all right, I'm done talking to y'all. It's time for me to talk to my Father. He let the people talk. But he stopped talking to the people. And he started talking to his Father. Catch this point. At a certain point, you have to stop talking to people and start talking to your Father. At a certain point, you got to stop listening to them and listen to him. At a certain point, you got to stop being around they and get with him. He just begins to pray. And he says, Father, I know you hear me. And then Jesus calls out these famous words from the Bible. He says, Lazarus, come forth. He says, Lazarus, come forth. People are scared. People are all around. They're shocked. They're confused. They're in mourning. They don't know what's happening. They can't explain it. They can't understand it. And Jesus just stands up out of nowhere and says, Lazarus, come forth. What does he mean, come forth? He's dead. We wrapped his body up. We put the burial scents and spices and oils on him. We prepared his body to be dead. Jesus stops talking to the people. He talks to his Father. And then he talks to Lazarus. People don't know what's going on. He says, I need you to understand something. Jesus says there's an order of events that happens here that you got to catch. Because I want to make it plain for you. Jesus says to Lazarus, come forth. Come out. And when he says, come forth, when he says, come out, Lazarus has no choice but to get up. Y'all gonna miss me. I wish I had time to work on this. But the one thing I want to say to you, somebody bring me a grave right quick. Let me be in the grave right quick. Come bring me a grave. Because I need you to see something, y'all. I need you to see something. Y'all see my grave? That's an ugly grave. So Lazarus is in the grave. And Because I don't want you to see this from the perspective of the people. I want you to see it from the perspective of Lazarus. I need to preach this to you from the perspective of Lazarus. So Lazarus is laying in this grave, right? He's laying here, and he's dead. How do dead people lay? I don't know. I ain't never been dead. So he's laying in this grave, but then as he's laying there dead, he hears this voice. Was that Jesus? So something tricky happens here. Because Lazarus is dead, but he hears a voice of life. Lazarus, come forth. So the issue becomes Lazarus is still dead. Y'all missing me. But he doesn't hear with his ears. He hears with his spirit. My ears didn't hear him say nothing, but my spirit heard something. Lazarus might not have heard nothing, but death heard it, and death had to loose the grip because death heard life say, come forth. So Lazarus gets up, but he's still wrapped up. So there's another problem. That's the next issue in the sequence of events, is that even though Lazarus is alive, he's still bound. Woo! So then Jesus says, loose and let him go. And so what you don't understand is many of us have not been delivered because when God called us out, we got up. But before you could be free, he had to tell the stuff that had you wrapped up that it had to let you go too. But can't you imagine? Oh God, I gotta be done. But can't you imagine? Can't you imagine? I'm done, y'all. Let's stand. We're done. Oh God. Can't you imagine that in the moment that Jesus is sitting there and Lazarus hears this voice that says, come forth. Lazarus says, can't you imagine? Somebody in the room who's really, this is for you. If you've really been in a place where you felt God like, yo, there was zero hope. Zero hope. And then right at the moment, when everything died, you heard this voice say, come here. You heard this voice start speaking into the spirit. And what happened? Can't you imagine Lazarus sitting there in that grave? And then as he's sitting there, he hears this voice and his eyes open. What's that? Did I hear what I thought I heard? Was that Jesus? Jesus? Did you really just call me? Jesus? Because let me catch you with something. I really need to touch you with this piece of doctrine. What Jesus says to Martha and Mary in verse 40 of John 11 was, I told you if you believe you will see the glory of God. So I'm a firm believer that the reason that Jesus was able to use Lazarus for this miracle was because he knew Lazarus. And he knew Lazarus knew him. And he knew Lazarus believed. So if there's nothing else, all I know is what was Lazarus' response when he heard the voice of Jesus wake him up? Can't you hear Lazarus just saying, Jesus, is that you? I knew you were coming for me. That should have been your response every time the enemy came after you and trapped you and you were bound. And at the very moment when everything broke down, Jesus showed up and called your voice. He called your name. And just like Lazarus, somebody should be looking up towards heaven right now saying, thank you, Jesus. I knew that you would come for me. And what did Jesus respond and say? I told you I was coming.